hello, everyone. This is Jane Quasar, and Zoreya and Zara are here with me, along with our beloved Q as our very, very special guest. And today, of course, is June the 9th, 2022, if you're keeping track of time. So with that being said, Q is on our call. But first of all, I wanted to have Zoreya say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Right. And you know, that's Zoreya. So we have really great, wonderful, inspirational, and very uplifting calls when we have Q on our call. And we know Q as being source. Today is going to be another day of high resonance, harmonics, high frequency. So take it all in and let's go ahead and bring beloved Q on our call now. And so Q, thank you so much again for being here with all of us on this great, wondrous, glorious, and loving day.
Jane, Zoreya, thank you so much for giving me this great honor to participate. It is my great honor to get to speak and touch so many, as I love everyone so much. This is Q. How would you like to proceed?
Well, we would love to hear a song, if you will, and then we can go from there.
That's my mantra now, apparently. Very good. This is how we'll start today. And it should resonate through our talks today too, is my desire.
Thank you.
Love is divine. Then the rainstorm came over me and felt my spirit break. I had lost all of my belief, you see, and realized my mistake. But time, through a prayer to me and all around me, became still. I need love. Love's divine. Love's divinity. Please forgive me now. I see that I've been blind. Give me love. Love is what I need to help me know my name. Through the rainstorm came a sanctuary, and I felt my spirit fly. I had found all of my reality. I realized what it takes. Because I need love. Love is divine. Please forgive me now so that I've been blind. Give me love. Love is what I need to help me know my name. Oh, I don't bet and I don't break. Show me how to live and promise me you won't forsake, because love can help me know my name. Well, I try to say there's nothing wrong, but inside I felt me lying all along. But the message here was plain to see, believe me. 'Cause I need love, love's divine. Please forgive me now, I see that I've been blind. Give me love, love is what I need to help me know my name. And I don't bet and I don't break. Show me how to live and promise me you won't forsake, because love can help me know my name. Love can help me know my name. And that is from our beloved artist, Seal. How's that for starters?
Oh, Q, you just know, like the perfect poem and song for these times. That was absolutely beautiful. And just absolutely a huge blessing. Thank you, Q. So, so when I went back to our last recording with you of your story, you spoke, a lot about the underworld, your experience with the industrial military complex, how you were brought in, or how you came to this dimension, and that this is something that has happened it happens every 2,000 years. Of course, that time frame, again, we're not really aware of because we don't have full memory yet. So you also spoke about ascension. You spoke about your having been a mer persona of Poseidon, and that this is a water world. You spoke also much about who we are as gods and goddesses, and that we're working, and I don't want to say working, but we are intending more and more to become the light that we truly are. And so perhaps maybe you could give us more information on those key issues, not issues, but topics for today.
Very good. Looks like this will be a quick call then. Zoray is cracking up. I know she is. So I believe, based on our pre-call and this one, it's great to go back a little bit here and just confirm why I'm here, how it works, and so forth. Is that kind of where you're at there?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's a great honor to get to do this. So essentially, living on the surface of Earth, hollow Earth is excluded. But on the surface Earth, what is viewed from the outside looking in is this is a rescue mission. And in relationship to the sequence of events of your ascension cycle. And so being in singularity is a great, great honor. Don't let me ever dismiss how incredible it is to be in singularity. It's incredible. And every person who listens to this call should have great respect and appreciation for being in a siloed vessel, so to speak, and expressing themselves. It's an amazing feat. And I encourage everyone who listens to me to disseminate, accept, relate, discard anything I have to say, because you are the only source of information that can validate what your true understanding of self-realization is. So not even I can tell you what you are, where you are, how you are. It's the only true laws of the universe in singularity is no one can tell you what you are, where you are, and how you are. And if anybody does, that's your clue that maybe you ought to look somewhere else, because that is divine love, is to be with someone no matter what they are, where they are, and how they are, without discarding your integrity. I hope that helps. In any event, this rescue mission is different this time. It was very difficult to get in here this time. And we had to be sneaky to get in here, because the technology that's here now with the aliens, they're aware of what and how the ascension process works. Not only did they make a version of humans that had just enough capability to have some of their memories, not all of them, and a portion of them bleed through occasionally, making it even more confusing. So as you see around you, you're finding psychic people who have some of their capabilities, and you see some people who don't have any of their psionic capabilities, which really should be translated in there having more of their light body in them and doing their best to translate the information. In any event, that's one of the primary reasons why this is considered a rescue mission, is not only can you frequent this planet's raise in frequency, you can also partake and help the frequency of this planet raise its vibrations. So you do have several choices here. And that is to know that you have choices. One is to ride the wave of ascension with your planet, or maybe you'd like to go back to your home planet, or you'd like to go to another location in the universe, the multiverse, the multiple frequency. And the reason I come here every 2,000 years is to participate and do my best to pump up the tires and remind you of the knowledge you already have. And that is the nutshell of why I'm here, is just to be a resource, reinforcements, and concurrently, I bring in more of the light source energy, and I infuse you all with my harmonics. Just living and walking amongst you, we all raise our frequency, and this was very well put together. This is not happenstance, excuse me. We're all able to do this. This is what we designed it to do, is to all confer, whatever words you like, to mold back into the light and be more of ourselves. Does that help explain your question, Jane?
Yes, it does. So the poem and the song that went with it is so apropos for now. And I think during these times, it's for many, as we watch what's happening, some of us, as we watch, we also can feel what's happening. And so it's a movement in frequency to be able to, again, learn how to separate what is divine and what we see here as the delusion. So I think, and you've spoken numerous times already regarding how to recalibrate our frequencies. How can we calibrate to be more of our light that we are in essence? So if you can, Q, if you will, Q, explain to us a little bit more about how our bodies are actually working. We're talking about this 3D matrix, how it's working for and against us, and how do we convert back to the essence of who we are?
Great question. Gladly. So this version of humans was designed in a way in which it had associated with the DNA a NATO measuring device. So I'll go back to some of the programs that I was implemented in. They could regress me forward and backwards, and so my physical body is roughly 200 and we estimate 220 years old. And many of the secret space soldiers that you're calling them, that's not what I call them, but many of the people in the programs, why they were only able to progress them forward and backwards is because the definitive roadblock was the NATO chart. So notice that when you go to the doctor and you ask your doctor how tall will my son be, well, they have a script on the genetic modalities in which were installed in this genetic version of humans. And so with that also governs the volume of light body that's going to come into the physical body. So first of all, the bad guys know, genetic manipulators, I'll call them, they know they're running out of time. And because we're going to grow out of this hindrance, this governance of the NATO and the DNA restrictions. And so ever since 2011, arguably 2012, they had a great race going on. And that race is knowing full well that the source coming into attention to this region is going to hyper expand and inflate the capabilities of each light body within a physical body. Not only the planet is a light body, but every living thing is a light body going through an expansion cycle that cannot be stopped. Now, the only thing that can stop it is nuisances, hindrances, variances that you may call a weapon system. Maybe we call them trickery, biological weapons. You're experiencing some of the weapons to stifle the expression and expansion of the light body coming in the physical body. So you call them shots, you may call them vaccines, you may call them many things. The way in which you're born is the start of the thwarting of the light body coming into you. So the minute a baby's born, you're filled up with shots, as an example. You're put underneath a electromagnetic light bulb to keep you warm. That's to stifle the light body coming into you. The ultrasound of a baby is to stifle the volume of light that will come into a physical body. So anybody listening, don't get ultrasounds. They're designed to initiate the harboring of many diseases. So all of it is, if you look at it in a collective, you'll see the whole goal is not to get too much light body into a physical body, knowing full well at the end of the road here, which is now, you're going to have too much capability. And so the ascension cycle always works. It never fails. And of course, they're not thrilled with me being here, because we're going to do it again, and we're going to be very successful. And the reason they are not excited about me being here is because they need you to go through the recycling center again. And this time, you're all not going to go through the recycling center, and we're going to have a great, great, great experience of replenishing what we prefer, not what someone else prefers. Does that help, Jane?
That was profound, Q. Again, just for us to really know that this is the end of our road here, as far as the beings that are here presently. So thank you so much that we don't have to be recycled again. But yeah. So what happens as Gaia, or Terra Christa as we call her, when we all ascend, and she is ascending with us too, right? So there's no more Gaia as we know her to be, or how does that work? Or somebody else is taking our place because you're always around every 2,000 years here?
Yeah, it hasn't been always this consistent, because the drama here hasn't, for lack of a better term, hasn't been consistent either. So 2,000 years ago was a little bit easier playing field. This one's been trickier, and I'll go into that later in the conversation and how we got me in here. But certainly the planet, the spirit of the planet, I will say the overlay of this planet's spirit, not hollow earth by no means, but the overlay of this planet's spirit left for several years, primarily due to the multitude of nuclear bombs. So you had roughly arguably 2,500 different nuclear bombs go off in the last 100 years. And the light body that was on this planet got tuckered out. And so we worked hard to get another light body here. Many conversations with the Galactic Federation, and many conversations all over the universe, what we're going to do here when we have such an incredible, viable, living library. And certainly the spirit that's here now is something to reckon with. This is an individual that is not going to budge. And that's why you're seeing some very positive changes here. Is the fortitude of the spirit that's within this planet now is shocking. And you and I, all of us, are enforcing it and demand nothing but perfection. And that's primarily why I'm here, is to make this planet just absolute pristine again. Does that help answer your question?
Wow, that was another eye opener. Q, in regards to the spirit or planet had left, and then somebody, another spirit for the planet came, and after that, to be here.
Yeah, it should be common knowledge for everyone. If they looked around, I don't know, 2007 to 2012, a lot of life was pretty limp. You look at the trees; they kind of weren't real excited. A lot of the water beings, the frogs. You saw a lot of the amphibians. They got tuckered out, and they really rely on the spirit of the planet. And so it was a lot of work to sell that story, so to speak, that we really need extra help here, and that's what's happened in the last 5 years for sure.
So what does the spirit of a planet, now we are humanoid, or we are humans here in this particular version. So Earth also, or our planet, has similar type of versions of itself?
Yes. So very, very vast subject. And so when you look at singularity, it's a vast subject that the English language will do its best not to allow us to communicate with, but I'll do my best. The singularity in which we enjoy going through the multiverse can be distributed in a collective. So being Yeshua or Emmanuel, Jesus, whatever word you want to call me, we could have multiple light bodies in one vessel, not at every given time, but at multiple times. And so you can extrapolate that information into what it's like to be a light body as a planet. So I could have multiple beings in one being, so to speak, is what I'm doing my best to explain. We can travel within and outside the multiverse and go experience what it's like to be another being temporarily and go back and be something else. And so I do my best to explain that extrapolation can be in silos and a collective. So maybe 100 of us want to be a planet. Maybe only one of us want to be a planet, as an example. That is very, very possible. Does that help?
Yes. So it depends on the frequency that you have achieved, right? To be able to want to become a planet.
That's right. And so it's quite interesting to do our best to communicate about it, because it's not possible with human language. Here's a normal life for a spirit. I want to go be Zorea tomorrow, and then you're Zorea. I want to be Jane tomorrow. You can go be Jane. No. That's a normal transition of a spirit, of living its life and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go do this, that, and this, and then I'm going to do it all over again, or I can do whatever I want. So that's what's so tricky for me being here, is the confinement of being in this human body. Is the limitations are very confusing, because I'm used to jumping around, and I obviously I do, and I'm able to do all the bilocating I want and all the transitioning I want. What's confusing for me is in this physical body, I can't do it with my physical body. That's what's so odd to me. So I bilocate every single second of every single day. But in the physical body, you're usually have that ability. So I hope that helps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So talking about frequencies, can you describe what the collective frequency presently is versus those that are more awakened? I mean, I don't know if I can, I don't know if that's a right question.
Hey, Jane.
Yes.
I love you.
We love you more.
It's so fun to explore, isn't it? It's so fun to explore. And I've just been so nourished by all the calls this last month as I took a month off. That should be a clue to everybody that what's happening here is unfolding for you all. But I'm not sure that we haven't already answered that question, but go try again, please.
All right. So, well, let me ask it in this way. So, as in our pre-call, we talked a little bit about the DNA, and Zora has also spoken about our DNAs as well as, turning more from carbon base to lighter bodies. And of course, we understand also that it's a singular process. Each and every one of us can also, the more we become become more of our higher frequency of light, the more we can impact those that are around us who are still in density. So I guess my question is going back again to frequencies and DNAs and chakras. Maybe that might be more.
Okay. So raising your frequency, I believe, and or increasing your frequency, increasing your light body, I believe is the question. Is that correct?
Yes. And along with that is, let me see. Yes. Yeah, we could start there because, yes, please.
Okay. So the primary reason that I'm here is for you just to feel my energy from source. And it comes off as arrogant, of course, but this is how we all work. You all have done the legwork of getting us another location deep into a lower frequency. And my job is to come in and resonate more light here. And the only restrictions that I can define in the English language are the hindrances of the physical body's recepting and annealment of the spirit. So the spirit comes into a physical body and it seats itself in what we're calling the soul, and then it's governed by the DNA, and primarily the mind controls your intentions, your intuitions. It forgets about its highest excitement and joys that come through the heart center. It wants to think and process, control everything. It has tremendous memory, by the way. And so this is very unique, even for me, going throughout the multiverse. This version of humans was been genetically hindered to not receive much of its inspiration and joy as its primary focus for its decision-making process. Instead, it uses mind control that can be abducted at any given time by the telephone, by your laptops, by your newspaper. Anything to keep you in the past is what this version of humans was created for. Concurrently, I know this is going to get redundant, you have a bunch of beings here, maybe you call them the 1%, who don't have any of these hindrances, and they're controlling humanity on the surface. Plus you have aliens who are feverishly doing their best. They're on a great race here to build more humans because they know the ascension cycle is coming. And they've run out of space for the volume of light that's come in here, and or to govern more singularity. So as I started this conversation, we could have multiple individuals in one vessel, which would have more light body and or more capability. And so the genetic manipulators are working very hard to build more humans that have even less restrictions than this version. Does that help?
Well, we understand that that the dark has manipulated and have created what we call robots, so to speak, but in the human body, right? All right. So, and they're continuing to do that. So,
yes.
But as you say, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm giving a generic term of cloning. There are clones and there are human clones. There's a big discrepancy. I can tell you, fortunately and unfortunately, Mr. Spielberg's movies, Star Wars, are very accurate. And not a huge fan of Mr. Spielberg collectively, but his stories are very strong. The opportunity for many of these geneticists is you can make a robot with a spirit in it, because you only take a portion of the tissue of the Merkaba soul seeding of what a mammalin is. And you can obviously look around you. People are getting knee replacements, hip replacements. You can almost turn, and you can keep a human alive. We're all frogs at the end of the day. Maybe you went to science class and you dissected a frog. Well, that's exactly what you are. You're a frog.
So going back again to my initial question, now, and as you as source, you could see everyone's frequency and light. And and now that we've come like to this end stage of movement to the higher frequencies, where do you see us in as far as a collective? Have we reached some sort of how I don't want to say how far, where are we in terms of our critical mass to really push this forward? Or are we waiting? I'm sorry, I had to bring this in. So we're waiting for some key movements politically or economically, the crashes and, the EBS and all the truths coming out. How do you see that all kind of play out for us?
So, I did take Zorea, or at the time, her name was Billy. I did take her into the future, and I'll talk about that later on here. But as a collective, you asked me about 75 questions there, and I want to be very careful here. And so great care is taking with this answer. Because our self-realization is always going to be for each individual. And so installing a carrot in front of your nose, a belief, is what I'm not going to do. Because your natural knowledge is going to come into you more and more all the time. And it will be represented based on what you prefer. It'll always go back to, it'll recalibrate, reconfigure right to your heart center. It'll never deviate. With that, though, Jane, I'm not going to leave the audience hanging.
Thank you.
There are many individuals who understand this, and they are using a conscious computing system in which measures on the surface, in which measures where we're at as a collective. And you're calling the Q posts, but essentially you're reading the collective consciousness of humanity based on an extrapolation of information as they sort it. So much of it is very accurate because it's based on what you've experienced, what I've experienced. And what we're able to do now is assess, what do we need to do to really clean up the burdens of everyday life for most humans? And of course, you're going to go straight to the darkest spot, and that's going to be your means of exchange, what you believe money is, and title. So both items are what's being heavily scrutinized right now. So you believe you own something when you're only here 5 minutes. You believe you have a piece of property that you live on, but you only live 5 minutes, yet you're so fixated on this taxation and so forth. Well, if you didn't have those burdens, you might spend more time on yourself, in your self-realization. So I assure you that the abundance of resources that's coming in to educate you on means of exchange are occurring every moment of every day. You can check yourself right now. Go to the grocery store and ask the cashier why there's a pyramid on the back of your money. Mm-hmm. And everyone's starting to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And why is it called debt on the front of it when it's called Federal Reserve note? A note is a definition of debt. And so the more debt you create, the more debt you create for all of us. And so that realization compared to 10, 20 years ago is just humongously different than it was. You must recognize how far we've gone. Mm-hmm. So yes, you're correct, Jane. The avenues to release burdens from self-realization is going to be with our means of exchange, what we're calling money, and title. Title is being removed from you, and or common laws being installed on your planet. Does that help?
Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, indeed.
Wow, good. The call's done then.
I'm sorry. I was just feeling that was absolutely perfect. Again, it's understanding where your thoughts are and, moving back into self-realization. Could you?
Yeah, the real crux of this is that's why this place is so foreign to me is we've inherited these belief systems that have undermined our knowledge system. So we're not used to living in a hierarchical system. So from the day you're born, you're going, okay, wait a minute. How come I have a boss and he has a boss and there's another boss and then there's another? So this pyramid or hierarchical system is what's very foreign to us. And so we're growing out of it naturally and in a natural maturation. And again, it might not be fast enough for everybody, but it is happening with a realization that nobody can tell you what you are, where you are, and how you are. And those are the best words I have.
Yes, that's true. I think we inwardly know that, but sometimes we don't express that.
Well, not in my neighborhood. So we just go and do it. We do it. And that's that. That's why we call it do. We're going to go put do everywhere because that's what we prefer.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So again, I guess
Zoraia, I can hear Zoraia laughing in the background.
Zoraia is here. I don't know whether Zoraia is here or Zora is here. If they want to be able to,
I can hear them laughing. It's funnier now.
Yes, they are. So they can come in. Zora, did you want, or Zoraia, did you want to say more about this? Oh, yeah, she's enjoying what is happening.
I know.
Yes. So, all right.
Great question, though, Jane. It's just really, you do such a good job of being a translator for me. I appreciate you so much.
So Thank you. And we thank you. So let's talk a little bit, and maybe at this time, if you will, again, some of the commands that you have given us have been very, very instilling, and many of us utilize them frequently during the day. And so we need to continue to do that, especially if we fall prey to, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be here. I need to work. I need to go within again. So, and that's predominantly what we are having to kind of make decisions on a regular basis, on a constant basis. But that shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't have to be doing this constantly, right? Until we get to where you are, or where Zora is at, or Zorea is at.
Yeah, a great question. So for me, and Ron, we worked really hard at creating a template just for a starting base. But I encourage everybody to make them what they want. But certainly, when we start looking at this conversation, we have an opportunity to examine the intrinsic lives we're inheriting. Not only the stop sign at the end of your road, you didn't invent stop signs, as example. Last time I was here, there was no stop signs. So that's your clue. There was no stop lights, there was no stop signs, and there was no high-rise scrapers. So it's quite a shock to come back here and see what's been happening here. But when I look at the intrinsic opportunities we have to command our spirit and or command prime creation to support and assist us, I suggest we always use it holistically to support all of us. So as an example, I command my spirit to heal and balance my community. So when you do that as a group, so maybe you have 3 or 4 people in your room, you can command prime creation to heal and balance my city, or raise the frequency of my community. Now, I want everyone to take great care of that, because now you're also installing that there's something wrong with your community, and don't direct it in a form in which it is too siloed. So as an example, I command my spirit to tell Jane next door to quit yelling at me when I come out of my house. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Okay, we know Jane's a bitch, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, so what you can do is you can basically envision an entire body of geography, and this is what I do every day, and raise its frequency by just envisioning the layers, and that layer of guilt, greed, lust, all of it coming off and infused with light. So as an example, in the town that I live in, I command our spirits, not mine, I command our spirits to raise our frequencies now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And everybody gets it. To what degree is up to them. I command prime creation. I command prime creation. I command prime creation to raise my town's frequency with their heart center now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And it always works. How's that, Jay?
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have something else you can address. It's been a concern of a lot of people. Lake Mead.
Lake Mead. Oh, the drought.
The droughts.
Oh, yes,
Weather.
Right.
What can we do about that?
That's a great question. So obviously your planet is 75% arguably water. So there's really no such thing as drought. There are people who are manipulating your water system. So we now can command our frequency, whichever words you like, to remove any hindrances to the natural organizational alignment of our water supplies. You can use it many different ways. Notice that it's broad statement. It's not siloed. But what'll happen there is the individuals that are manipulating and or isolating water distribution, they will be removed. They won't be able to stay at that frequency, and the earth will win out every time. Does that help?
Well, can we do that as a whole with?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So you can actually you can actually check my words. If you look at the Columbia River on the Washington, Oregon, if you put a 10-inch round PVC pipe off that thing, you could flood California.
Wow.
And so the comedy that there's a lack of water in any given area on the planet is just quite undermining our intelligence. We have no problem getting a pipeline from Prudhoe Bay to California, but apparently we can't put a pipe on the Columbia River. And by the way, you dammed it 12 times so that it would be stifled. And so the Columbia River could fuel the water distribution for all of the West Coast, not only California. And so I encourage everybody to look at the hydroelectric industry is absolutely corrupt. And Bonneville Power is on my you're not going to get away with this much longer list. And all the dams on this planet need to be removed immediately.
I agree.
Wow.
Because of the rivers have a memory. They want to go back the way they were. And so you remove the dams and the rivers go back to the way they originally were. Yeah. Also, another thing that's very concerning for a lot of people is the Colorado River, which is pretty much dried up.
Yeah, it's all a facade to stifle the energetics. The natural blood of the planet is water, as I stated. Yes. One of the reasons that hyperspace travel is very difficult for humans is because we're primarily from this planet. And number two, we're all of water. So genetically, you marry very well with the planet you're born on. So this planet's blood supply is water. And so if it can't flow, it's going to find a way to make it flow. It's going to go around eventually. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Eventually. So let's talk, since we're talking about water, we could also talk about the decrease in oxygen on our planet.
Yeah, it is disturbing here. I have had to move to be closer to trees, and it's just still disturbing that we keep cutting down trees. I just can't even believe that we would do that. Cutting down a living being is just shocking to me compared to the last time I was here. And so we really need to take great care of our air quality. There are individuals that are helping though. And so the reason that humans are still alive is outside beings, including Hollow Earth, have assisted in making sure we have quality air here, but there's still a lot of work to do for sure. A
lot of work to do.
Yeah. So
we don't have the technology. No one has come up with the technology then to be able to do the opposite.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I would not say that. The technology's been here naturally. This is a living planet. It's a living library. It's all here. It's us that is hindering it. That's it.
Right. By cutting trees down.
Correct.
That's right.
All right. Okay.
Well, the argument that I brought up to the what you call the Lumber Association over there in California, I told them, man, I went to one of their meetings and I told them, I said, all these trees you're cutting down, do you realize what you're doing? And they go, yeah, we're cutting down trees for, building homes and stuff like that. I said, well, yeah, but also think about this. When there's no more trees, there's no more you.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go back 180 degrees. We're just frogs, and if we don't have air, we're not going to be bouncing around anymore.
That's true.
No more lily pads.
Yeah.
Well, 2030 seems like a wonderful year.
You're trapping me again, aren't you, Jane?
No.
Go ahead
All right.
and talk about the Area 51 and our travels
Okay.
to the future.
Okay, it's. I better get some more tea because this is going to be a long topic.
Oh, please do. What kind of tea
Yes,
do you
okay.
like, Q?
Well, I'm doing a jasmine today,
Ooh.
and sometimes I blend it with a breakfast tea. But
Oh.
we have a great company where I'm at that does some nice organic teas. But go ahead, Jane, please.
No, this isn't another topic already. I'm sorry.
Okay. Love your passion. And I thank you for bringing me here, for showing me home, for singing these tears. Finally, I found that I belong here.
Oh, yes, you do. Thank you, Q.
All right.
That was beautiful.
All right. I bludgeon another Depeche Mode song. Thank you, those guys.
Yes.
Okay, that was our intermission. Intermezzo.
Uh-huh.
I love restaurants that have intermezzo. They like say, "Hey, take a break, you fat pig,"
Yes.
and I go, "Hey, I'm not fat. I'm just enjoying this place." Okay, so Area 51 is. Go ahead, Jane. You wanted to interact?
I know.
Okay. All right. Is very, very, very dear to me for many reasons. And when I knew Zoria there, her name was Bill. And if it wasn't for Bill, I probably would have had a very tough time staying alive as long as I did. But I cherish that relationship to the end of this earth. It nurtured me. It gave me hope. And I love you so much. Thank you so much. As I fought off tears, that's quite an experience, Area 51, for many reasons. I will always understand my relationship with Hollow Earth, and I will always understand my relationship with Area 51 is very symbiotic, excuse me. And the reason for it is the great respect and appreciation for that geographical region is ancient. And I will talk about the past, and I'll talk about the present and my understanding then and now. To come to a planet in ancient times, we will explain, is very, very prominent in your integrity. So you don't just come to a planet and say, "Hey, I'm going to have a kegger and throw empty beer cans everywhere." It's very important that when you come to a planet that you, number one, you ask permission. And the reason you ask permission is because the self-evolution of a planet is at all different levels. So you may go to some planet that's hyper developed in technology. You go to other planets that not one person touches the ground because they live in an elevated state. They live in trees. They do not disturb their environment. So to have that knowledge for myself is quite shocking to see how this planet has evolved the way it has, because I do remember this planet where not one individual would ever overturn a rock without great integrity. And that's why Bigfoot and the Sasquatch, if you like, it's not their names, but for these of people understanding what I'm talking about, they take great care when they live within a frequency of a planet. They take great care. And when they jump in and out of our dimensional reality, they do not disturb their environment. And that's why they're so appalled at what humans are. And that's why they don't communicate with us. In any event, we'll get back to Area 51. Area 51 was always a place where multitudes of beings could conglomerate, including from Earth. So this is a collaboration center. It was always a collaboration center. It's not the only one on the planet, but it was always a neutral place to say, hey, can I visit you guys? Can I participate here? What is your intentions, et cetera, et cetera. The Hollow Earth individuals also use this technology as, first and foremost, you ask permission for many different reasons. But the short version is, I really like this place. Can I live here? That's normal. This is the Native Americans did that. Everyone did that prior to the modern Industrial Revolution. So it shouldn't be too far-fetched to realize that when you came to a planet, even though you had vast technology, you would always observe what was here living before you made a determination before you were going to stay or what you were going to do here before you set up camp. That is common knowledge throughout the multiverse, especially when you're jumping down to lower frequencies. So a multidimensional being coming to a lower frequency always will have that respect and appreciation. And that's why when people say, I'm friends with the Palladians and they're coming here, no, that's not correct. See, no higher dimensional being would undermine your thought process or manipulate your thought process, let alone manipulate your world. So when I speak about Area 51, I take great care because it was the most loving and most incredible place for me to make a transition, to participate, to learn what it was like to live here and what the vastness that occurred here and where you could participate. It's quite a long story, but we'll leave it at that. In the meantime, nowadays, Area 51 was, for lack of a better term, abducted by some very covert individuals who knew that was a collaboration center. So concurrent to the abduction process, they could get a lot of mileage out of the beings that were coming to the collaboration center, multidimensional and interdimensional, not knowing that Area 51 had been abducted. The industrial buildup of Area 51 concurrently with the abduction process of that geography is primarily how I got in here. As you can imagine, if they knew I'm going to come back to planet Earth and they can identify us very easily because of the volume of light we have, the bad guys don't want any more light beings here through the ascension cycle. So in my case, coming back in time, I came back as a gray alien, that's what you would call us at least, from our planet, this planet, that had basically destroyed itself so that we could not be a full-fledged mammalin anymore. And I was basically captured by the abductees of Area 51 by Area 51 controllers. With that understanding, the technology that I arrived in was also a tool to enable the abductees and their development of technology. And so my relationship with Billy extends from there I'm giving you a very short version, so Jane can drill me with questions, of course. But essentially, I became a flight instructor. That's not what we call it, but for the ease of communication, I became a flight instructor for the base. I was not the only one captured. And I voluntarily got captured because this is the way to sneak me in. So you must realize the technology that's here, they can see the seeding of the soul marriage with a mammalian. So they know that they have a certain volume of Merkaba combinations with a human being. So we can use Zorea as an example. They know she's going to have more capability than Dave down the street because of the volume of receptive capability of light column in it. And that's the same way with me. So they know that I'm going to pick the best of the worst genetically, and I'm going to have more presence here like I did 2,000 years ago. So I literally had to sneak in here as because the abductees were so thirsty for the technology and so thirsty for advanced beings. That's how I snuck in to get in the karmic cycle here. Otherwise, they would do everything to stop me from getting in here. And they did. So now I'm in here as a gray alien, and I'm in the abduction process, which is Area 51, which is now an industrial military base that goes down hundreds of feet underneath the base. And now they are given technology, which is basically conscious travel, multidimensional travel through a vessel. And so when I worked with Billy initially, as he was the colonel on the base, the reason Billy was chosen is because his vast capabilities, and he knows it and she knows it. And even that was a trick on the bad guys because they didn't know what to do with it, and then realized we got a problem. we got a big problem now because we don't know what to do with Billy now. Oh, okay. So anyway, to get more bang for their buck, they said, well, we're going to make people understand how to fly these vessels, drive these vessels. Bilocate with a vessel is really the best definition. So I'll tell you one experience I had with Billy is being on the tarmac with one of these vessels. It's very easy for me to fly my own vessel. It's instantaneous. So the first round with Billy, I remember, is Billy, now take the vessel. It's yours now. Remember, the vessel is organic. It's living. It has a consciousness just like I do, just like you do. Now, Billy, go to the end of the runway. Billy made it about 4 feet. I go, no, wait a minute. Let's start over again. All right, now believe that you're going to go 10 feet. Go to the next paint line on the runway. And then it went from 100 feet to 1,000 yards to 500 to the end of the runway. Okay, so basically, when I trained Billy to travel in these vessels, it was don't believe you're driving, believe you're already there. Know that you're already there. That knowledge of your consciousness. Consciousness is a very tricky word. It's not complete, but knowing that he could take the vessel, she could take the vessel to the end of the runway instantly is what I taught Billy to do. So now we went from the end of the runway to around the backside of Groom Lake. So now we're going to go see that mountain over there. You're going to take this vessel and you're going to go to the backside of that mountain. And the first thing Billy said, but I can't see the other side of the mountain. So I can see the end of the runway and I can envision me going to the end of the runway. And I said, how is it that you can't envision that the end of that, the other side of that mountain exists or doesn't exist? And so that took several weeks to get her to understand that your envisionment of what's on the backside of that mountain actually is what you created and could go participate with. So you got to remember, the backside of the mountain doesn't exist until Billy creates it.
Mm.
And so eventually Billy was able to go to the backside of the mountain, and we could travel all over the valley because the consciousness was concurrent to the vessel with Billy's understanding of receiving the information and giving the information at the same time. So it's that stall, that doubt that you have that stops you from being able to fly, drive, relocate, bilocate with these vessels, because there's no lying to these vessels. They're all you. It's just like looking in a mirror. Now, with that came a absolute vastness of capabilities: going to the moon, going to Mars, going to Neptune, going to Mercury, going to the sun. But you got to remember that the bad guys still have their finger on us. So we're taking great care of this tool. At the same time, we're both double agents at the same time. So what's important about this is the bad guys don't really care about this technology. They know it exists. They know that they can't govern us, or we're not able to do it. And that's why I call them the programs, because they really don't want to hinder us from what our capabilities are. They want to understand how it works, because they can't figure it out, because they don't have the consciousness that Billy and myself have, as an example. They don't understand how the muscle works for us to take a vessel into deep space. And this is exactly what they want, and they are fighting for even to this day. And this is what they're fighting for. Eventually, the Colonel and I could show him how to travel to another dimension. And the reason that you have a conscious quantitative vessel is because there's no way to go outside your universe unless you do. And so whether you want to call it hyperspace or a dimension, I don't really care. But eventually, Billy was able to go to and from points of time in other dimensions. So remove it as a location now, and now change it to a sequence of events within the future or the past. And the reason that I worked very hard was to create redundancy on this planet. Mm-hmm. And this is where the double agent of me comes out, is if I don't have a witness to this, I don't have a witness to this. And so this is primarily my great love and great passion for my relationship with Zorea, Billy, is because we are few in numbers, and many of us had our minds wiped, and I popped out of it. And Zorea is doing her best as well. Is they know they couldn't kill us. And so this redundancy, and all the super space soldiers that I have worked with, they're all getting their memories back. So it's very important that the goal is, for the bad guys, is to get multidimensional travel. And here's where they're stuck at. They can't do it without us. And knowing that when we come back in from the dimensions, we're going to get our memories back, and then they stifle us. So one example of a place I purposely took Billy, Zorea, was to a point in time on planet Earth of 2030. What that looked like here, with hard work, as that would be today, is borderline utopia on planet Earth. And the utopic events that occur back then, I rarely talk about dates, is the hard work we're all doing right now. And this is why I'm doing this show right now. You will have very few borders on your planet. You'll have very few hierarchical systems on your planet. Your means of exchange are going to permanently be indoctrinated by your passion. Your means of exchange are going to be removed. You're not going to understand what money is eventually. You won't even be able to touch it. You don't even like it.
Barter and trade.
That's correct. And so your understanding of your environment is going to grow stupendously, and how valuable it is. And you are going to live a life of true passion, only for the purpose of true passion. And I guarantee you what it looked like then was my great experience with Billy and Zoraia, to show her where we're going, if we can knuckle down, if we can really get our work done. And that is my short version of my experience at Area 51.
Well, we also went and remember we took the trip to the East Coast over what would have been New York.
Yeah, all of them are great experiences, and I can dig into all of them as you want, Zoraia. I just want to give people the body of it. Yeah.
So, excuse me. So let's, if you could go backwards a little bit and explain at least a couple of things. And when you say borderline utopia in 2030, so borderline means that we're kind of getting into utopia. So
it's a dramatically different place than it is now, is where you can hold me at. Yes.
All right. So obviously our frequencies as a collective then, which is everyone on the planet, would be at equal levels.
Okay, one more time.
So when we get to that point, which isn't all that long, that's not very, I mean, that's really soon. I mean, we're talking about 8 years from now. And of course, for us, every day it seems really slow, or fast. But we're talking about, are we talking about ascension, or is the ascension, I guess, it still goes back to consciousness. So the consciousness of where we are right now, obviously, is not at that point, and it doesn't materialize either, in terms of what we would like right at 2030 as it is now. So we have a lot of work yet to do to get there collectively.
Yeah. And so what's maybe a more vast observation would be that we had utopia here in many bands of the ascension cycle. It's only this one is so dramatic this time. And the reason it's so dramatic is the alien technology, the artificial intelligence, the manipulation of humans. So you had utopia here many, many, many times, for lack of a better term, because it's always going to be defined on what we say utopia is. This has always been a vacation planet. This has always been a massively beautiful vacation planet, and that you didn't disturb. And all water worlds are fabulous, and they self-govern themselves if you don't hinder them. And so that's what I'm stating is, these cities are going to fall down. They're not going to survive because they don't serve any purpose other than revenue for the banking industry. And so that's my great conviction, that once we realize that our means of exchange is, and notice that it's changing right in front of your eyes right now.
Yes.
When everybody has abundance, why would I care about what things cost and what title is, to go full circle with our conversation today? If you don't own anything and you're just borrowing it, why do you feel like you have title? You don't.
Okay. You also spoke about when you were training Zoraia to go to the runway. She could only go so far, and then she was able to go to the end of the runway. It's because she knew that she could get there. She knew. She didn't believe. She just knew that she could get there because she could see the end of the runway. But then when she was able to move through an envisionment of what the other side might look like, could look like in her. And I mean, are we talking about she was imagining what might be on the other side, which was concurrent with what already was?
Knowing what is going to be. Correct.
Okay, so it was like she was able to tap into the knowing that this is what's on the other side. So she's not imagining it.
That's right. So the bilocation that I experienced in my professional career is exactly what I'm explaining now. To give some people some feedback, I worked in the industrial military commercially. So if I went into a military base and I was only offered to be in an office building, or let's say an administration building, a conference hall, what have you, I could actually bilocate myself, just like I am now. You can feel my presence in your room right now, Jane. I could bilocate it underground, and I could see what was really going on. So I'll offer this. Because I don't have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I can say whatever I want about this planet.
I can too.
That's right. And so the fact that we're able to talk on this radio show should let everybody, give people confidence that we're clearly the untouchables, and I will never back down from that statement. And here's what it looks like underground at Boeing. So if you go to the Renton Rocket Research Institution of Boeing in Renton, that is actually a labyrinth underneath it that goes all the way into Seattle and Everett and all the way up into the Washington State corridor and south. And the last thing Boeing wants me to talk about is that it's actually a research and development and manufacturing facility for spaceships. They manufacture spaceships there with the guys that they're airplane manufacturers. They're not airplane manufacturers. They make spaceships. That's what they do.
Beautiful. Oh, wow. Oh,
that's why the new, what you call airlines are going to be saucers.
Yeah, it's really embarrassing. It's really embarrassing that we would be duped this grand, but essentially, when you get into these facilities, I encourage all mechanical contractors, when they're looking around these facilities, look at the cooling and heating systems, and you start measuring the BTUs, British Thermal Units, of a cooling system, how many tons of cooling it takes to cool a process plant, and you'll start doing the math, and you'll say, okay, there's too much cooling here for what they're doing. We don't need to keep a bunch of skirts hot or cold here. Forgive the pun, but they're pumping it underground, and so you can actually go to the end of Salton Sea, and you're going to see 7 of the largest geothermal steam turbines down there. Well, each one of them has enough power to give enough electricity to most of the West Coast. They're not going above ground, that power. It's going below ground.
Yeah, but the Salton Sea is also drying up.
Yep. And so the labyrinth that's in the Chocolate Mountains, the CIA has commandeered that. That's all gold, by the way. And so a lot of your planet's resources are sitting right there in the Chocolate Mountains and the other side of the valley. And it's just a honeycomb down there of manufacturing and all sorts of nefarious things.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned, excuse me, Q, the name of the Boeing place, Renton, is that RENTIN?
Renton, Washington.
Renton Rocket Research Center is what they used to go by. And you'll see the cooling The central cooling plant is roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, let's see, 13, 14 2,000-ton chillers there. But the square footage of the buildings there is, maybe 10, 20,000 feet. And so that plant, what I just explained to you, each one of those chillers could cool a nuclear submarine, yet they have 14 of them.
Wow.
And so to give you an example, it's a humongous facility underground, humongous facility.
That's one more thing that needs to come out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so it's one of the groups that have hindered the technology, electromagnetic, and anti-gravitic technology. They have a lot of tools in their tool shed there, and Northrop Grumman's on my you should stop it list, and General Dynamics is there, JPL. NASA comically is really just a puppet to all these guys, although I'm not a fan of NASA either. So
no, right.
No.
Okay, so you say that there are also other collaborating centers on our planet right now besides Area 51. What are some of the other ones?
Well, Giza was always going to be. Yes. If you look at the latitude of the planet, we always picked a latitude that was common. So you look at the Giza area, and of course, why do you suppose there's so many wars there? They don't want us collaborating there. You look at Africa, and look at the same latitude. In China, look at where the disruption is.
Right.
There's a lot of it, but for the most part, everyone picked a latitude for several reasons. One, the portals into the middle of the Earth are on both axis points. Well, those are the hollow Earth axis points, and it's very difficult to have a vessel come into that area without crashing. And so there are many crashed vessels at both axis points because they made the mistake of coming across the electromagnetic etheric field and axis point of the planet. So the ding-dongs that don't understand or are getting too close for comfort, they end up crashing there. So you always come to the middle of the planet. That's the appropriate way to do it.
To the middle of the planet. So with all the discoveries that are now on the, present that people can really see, everybody knows, that there's an opening at the North Pole and the South Pole.
Everybody knows.
Oh, well, anyways. So
if everybody knew, there wouldn't be a secret.
Right. So yeah, and I'm just really surprised that the dark energies haven't been able to kind of get in there, even into inner Earth, and not hollow Earth, because of the electromagnetic protections, right, for both of those areas.
And so the question is?
So there's no question.
Okay.
All right. So my next question is more on an understanding more about being conscious and being super conscious. So how do we get from conscious, which is where many people are, conscious about what is happening on this level of the matrix or 3D, whatever we want to call it, and then moving towards into the super conscious level? It's almost like going from the end of the runway, and now we want to envision the other side of the mountain that we can't see. How do we traverse that? Yeah,
a great question, and that is my great passion too. Is the definition that you've used, the word you're using, is really an opportunity to prove that the English language was designed to mislead us. And the reason that I'll be so heavy-handed on my statement here is that I do have my memories of being in a being that had all of its heart center as its primary decision-making process. And so what's been stolen from this version of humans is that annealment of the light body, as you're calling consciousness, as the primary focus for its decision-making process. And instead, the mind is the primary focus for making decisions. And so when we get excited about what really gives us joy and inspiration, that's normal when you're not in a body like this. And so to answer your question, if we would just revert back to that childhood excitement of, I can't wait to do this because I'm so excited. And so you run outside and you trip on your face, of course. But it's, in sincerity, I can't wait to put on my new shoes and run out the door and just go play with the kids in the neighborhood, is what we are normally doing in our formal decision-making process and informal decision-making process when we're not in this version of humans. Does that help?
Yes, and I know it seems redundant, but we should get it.
Right, and so we can say, I'm very excited to have this call. I was very excited to look up a song before this call. I couldn't help myself. I will always defer, at the risk of being arrogant, at being spontaneous with these calls and what we get out of them. It's my great passion. And the people who are listening are only going to be the ones who have passion to listen. And it doesn't take a lot of work. We just enjoy what we enjoy. And that's all we have to focus on. As you asked, how do we have super consciousness? I don't necessarily like the definitions, but the opportunity is with us each and every moment of each and every day. Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much, Q. I have another question, and that could be another, which is another topic.
I love it. Please.
Okay.
You're just so fun to listen to, because you're working so hard, and it's just so exhilarating how hard you're working to really examine this place, which should show you smell the fire, but you can't quite see it yet, can you?
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about relationships.
Okay.
Zaraya has been in different relationships. You have as well, as I have. So from my point of view, so what makes, let's just say for an example. Okay, so my passion is to be able to help my family. Let's just stay with that versus the community. So I want to be able to help my family members to wake up and to be to be able to reach their excitement in life versus dwelling on the past. So yes, we understand perpetuating the past, and then all of a sudden that becomes your future, and you stay where you are and can't get beyond that. So again, so just using me as an example. So let's just say I want to be able to help one of my family members who is very, very stressed or frustrated and disturbed about her making past decisions that were not in her best interest. And yet we can look backwards and say, you know what, that really was a learning experience, so that you don't want to do that again, right? So then, but they get stuck with where they are. So just as many people presently are in their relationships, even with the world, like, I don't like being here. I am stuck here in this dark dimension, and I want to get out of here. And again, and I know this is going to be redundant, Q, but when it really falls to you, your joy is to be able to see enlightenment. You want to see people to be in their joy, and they can't get there still by what you're saying or what you're trying to convey to them, they're still stuck. I mean, what do we do then?
Okay, so Jane, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay, so you'd like everyone to be enlightened, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so why don't you go tell them to do it?
Thank you, Zaria.
So did it work? I'm waiting.
No.
Okay, so you're going to go run around and tell everybody what to be, where to be, and how to be. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. And I know
All
that
right.
that's not the right
Yeah.
answer.
That's
Right.
not the answer.
No, it has to be.
I know.
Right.
I get this question a lot, actually.
Oh, okay.
I had a gal call me about, I don't know, it's probably been a couple months now, and she says, "How do I get my kids to wake up? They're so dumb," and et cetera, whatever she had to say. And I said, "Okay, so you'd like to wake up your kids?" "Yes, I would." "Well, what are you going to tell them to do and be?" "Well, I'm going to tell them to quit watching the television and watch what I'm watching, because this is the truth." "Okay, so what's the truth?" "Well, Bill Gates is a pedophile." "Okay,
Right.
good. So you told him that Bill Gates is a pedophile, and he's tried to take over the planet through Microsoft 5000. Okay,
Yeah.
so how'd that go over?" "They don't believe me, because they went to work playing on their Microsoft machine, and they don't believe he's a pedophile." "Okay, so did you tell them that he eats babies too?" "Yeah, they don't believe me." "Okay, so so what are you going to do? I thought you were going to enlighten them." "I know, I told them. You're enlightened now. I told you everything there is to know about this place." So back to you, Jane. How are you going to find self-realization if you don't go within for yourself?
Right.
And that's the best I can do so far. Is it naturally
Always.
it naturally matures in each and every one of us,
Right.
because of this version of humans has got a good governor on it. But there's humongous strides compared to pre-2012. I guarantee you, even though there was a lot of manipulation in 2012 of most humans, we are way down the road compared to where we could be. I guarantee you.
Okay. And of course, we know that. I mean, we know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll just leave it. I guess that was simple. I think that's where we are. I think just for people to understand that it's always going within yourself, and everyone is on their own path, I think is still the name of the game. No matter what you can share with them, it's always your light, actually. That.
Yeah, I encourage everybody. I have taken a lot of criticism. Why don't you fix this? Why don't you fix that? Knowing full well I do have a lot of these abilities, and I would never undermine everyone's choices.
Correct.
Everyone has choices. End of story.
Right.
And they're up to everyone to make these choices. Not a huge fan of us believing BS on these screens. I'll work hard to get the accountability processed very quickly here. That's the best I can do. Is you're not going to be able to lie to humans much longer. You can try, but you will not be at the same frequency as the rest of us. Try and lie to Jane today compared to 10 years ago. You can feel the information. It's much different.
Yes.
And so that's what's occurring now is not many people can be lied to now. Very rare. Try and lie to somebody just in a normal place, and they're going to go, I don't know what's off about that information, but something's off. So I would give a vast amount of encouragement that we're not able to take misconceptions much longer. It doesn't look like it maybe from where you're sitting, but compared to where we were, we're trucking. We're going really fast here.
Okay. All right. Any last words, Q, in regards to Well, I think perhaps maybe we've covered everything, huh? Zarea?
12:45.
Oh, good. So everybody's enlightened, and Billy still only has 2 stripes on his flight patch, and so I mean, I was hoping she would do better, but we did our best with the time we had. That's my best joke for Area 51, but
right. Remember where we went? We decided to go against the rules and regulations and not be around the Area 51 location. We decided to go buzz Las Vegas. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
So there's so many fun experiences there. Basically, when I was captured, I knew that I would be terminated eventually, because in that body I had all of my heart center, and that's why it's so endearing to find Zarea now. Is the love that we shared was I couldn't share with every human on the planet, and so to find Zarea was just so thrilling, because she could feel me communicate with her telepathically, but through my heart center primarily. And so it was so awesome. So as Zarea has just said, I of course took liberties, and to jam out to Las Vegas and then jam out to Los Angeles, knowing full well they couldn't stop us because we were too vital to the program. Like, hey, what are you going to do now? It was basically na. Come on, come get us. You're not going to shoot down the only vessel you have that can do this, plus the 2 individuals that can do it. So they're studying us. So it's quite a fascinating story. But we took liberties, and we could do phenomenal things. So anyone that comes out of Area 51, there's a couple of scientists that are doing some road shows that are full of what. Because trust me, we do know the truth there.
So what now for you, Q?
I'm just gonna go live on top of a hill, I think. I'm gonna herd sheep. So thank you for asking, Jane. Through my great partner Antonio, we've been doing a series of collaboration sessions. I cut it off this month because I wanted to get good feedback, and I'm gonna bring myself into. I want people to get closer to me, mm-hmm. and I'm recognizing that there's a lot of value to this, and my opportunity to connect with more people in a conference hall, or there's a growing demand. The thousands of people I've talked to over the years now, one-on-one, there is a consistent demand, and that is, or goal and inspiration, and that is to have collaboration centers. And all over the world, I'm getting calls. We really want to make a center where everyone can be autonomous and nurtured, and have a resource center. And whether it's healing or learning how to sustain a garden, or just self-improvement and self-inspiration, I want to be a part of that. And undoubtedly, I want to create my own children's camps. So this next generation will be well on its way to understanding what they want, and getting a lot of these homeschool groups to have an avenue to have natural labs out in nature, et cetera, et cetera. And my great passion is to have children tell the teachers what they want to learn, mm-hmm. not the other way around. And that's how I believe we will evolve naturally. And that's what's normal on many planets, is to wake up late and go to bed early. And when you wake up, you decide what you want to learn, and not have anybody tell you what, where, and how you are. How was that?
That's beautiful. I think that kind of resonates with Billy as
You
well.
might also want to show people how to meditate, not meditate, how to manifest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the great topic, by the way, is that comes right back into the full fold of self-realization.
Yes.
With your inspiration center, your heart center. And once you know it's already here, it shows up in the material world. And all the musicians have it right. They're doing their best to explain it to us through many of these songs. Once you know it's already here, it will be here, is my best words.
It's very true. Okay, so that's what we all have to concentrate on.
Looks like you got a pretty good show out of this, maybe?
Oh, I think so.
I think it was
Okay, good.
fabulous.
Good.
All right. I think if you will, again, Q, because we love you, and I know you're busy all over the place, and with everything that's happening, and everything is moving at light speed, sort of. Anyways, we would love to be able to continue, with one-to-one calls with you as well. So we look forward to that time, to being with you, and for other people to come on board and be able to ask their questions. So with that being said, Q, we know you are source. We love what is happening right now, and that you are here because you're never going to leave us ever. You never have, so you never will either. So we really certainly do appreciate you greatly. And you know that. So much love to you. Perhaps maybe you could end this call with a 5-4. Let's do it together, because everyone who will be re-listening to this call will be able to feel your harmonics. A beautiful command coming from you would be greatly appreciated.
That's lovely, Jane. That's lovely, Jane. Well, let's get it together. Whether we're moving to the left, don't forget I'm on the right. It's so awesome to get to do these shows, and I'm touched every time I get to do this and know that we're just so amazing what we're doing collectively, and I will respond to your request. I command prime creation to increase all of our light right now. I command prime creation to give us all of us right now. I command prime creator to increase all of our light right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Ooh.
Powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. That was magnificent.
Here we go. And here we go.
Thank you.
Blessings to you both.
You cut it down from 10 to 5.
Yeah, I get tired of counting. For the record, I count to trick everybody, but I assumed everybody figured that out by now.
Oh, love that frequency. Thank you so much, Q. And then lastly, Don, you are such an absolutely marvelous being doing this for the world. And we certainly very, very much appreciate your work and bringing these calls forward to the rest of the world. Don, we love you. We know you are a light being. You have a beautiful heart, you and Doug both. And again, thank you is not enough. We just love you for all that you're doing. Thank you, Don.
He's not there.
Yes, that's okay. All right, everybody. I think last words at all coming from Zora, because we have like 5 minutes left. Mm-hmm. Love that frequency coming through. You can just go ahead and mirror that with words. What does he like to say? What would he like to say?
Understand, beloved gods and goddesses, that you are gods and goddesses, sometimes both. Anyway, you want to understand that you have everything at your own beck and call. You are the creator. Not some person out in the cosmos whom you term to be God. You're God or goddess. Remember that. Let no one sway you any other way, because that's what you are. That's what you have always been. That is all.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1, receive.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we receive. And from the gods and goddesses of our beings, we know that we are one and that we are gods and goddesses.
Indeed.
So be it.
So be it.
All right, everyone. I think that is all for today. And we look forward to seeing everyone again next week for another call. So we look forward also to the time when the silence of what is presently occurring in the events here in this matrix to unfold, so more people are more awakened. And as they do that, they will be coming to each and every one of us to help them to understand what they don't understand. And then from there, to help them to know who they really are as the creator, to know that they are source in oneness, and that they are gods and goddesses.
And of the endless power that they possess.
Indeed. All right, everyone. So with that, we shall let all of you go and have yourselves a wondrous, glorious, and most loving day. Take care, and thank you.